You're gonna make me cry. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Well,
I don't care.
Okay.
I don't care. Thank you so much.
All right.
Thank you so much for everything.
Absolutely.
Because it's, after my mom passed, I didn't want the house anymore because it just felt sad. You brought the life back to my house, and I really appreciate it because it's been pretty sad since November, and I'm sorry.
You're okay. You're okay.
I'm sorry, but my mom she would be so excited.
If I saw this side of the house, like I'm scared. I don't get scared. All right, there's not much I haven't been up against, and this ain't nothing I can't handle. You know he's only doing YouTube for free stuff and money, right?
We interrupt our program to bring you this important message.
No, I'm not. I'm doing it because I'm an attention whore. What's up? I'm Kevin Hansen, the lawn care juggernaut, the unofficial mayor of Tulsa, Oklahoma. If you've never seen my videos before, basically what I do is I travel around and I cut lawns completely free of charge for people and try to do the best makeover I possibly can in the time that I have because I move around quite a bit. So in this particular job, I'm actually in Kansas in the south central area. This is roughly pretty close to the area that I actually grew up in. I knew there were some really cool old Victorian houses in this area, and I wanted to go knock one out so that I could cross it off my bucket list of type of projects I wanted to work on. But I ended up finding out that the homeowner actually needed some help, and a lot of people at first glance might see projects like this and go, oh, they must be lazy, or whatever it might be. I go into projects and I try to have I try to be as open-minded and open-hearted as possible, because I found out that a lot of people are in a situation where the property is neglected for a few different reasons. Typically it comes down to like either they are going through a depression or mourning process, maybe they lost a loved one recently, which is the case of what happened in this scenario. It could be they're having financial constraints and can't afford equipment to do it themselves, or maybe they're not able to do it themselves because they have an illness or a disease or some kind of disability. It might be because they're elderly, which brings me to another point. They might, with that financial situation, they might be on Social Security or disability, some kind of fixed income. So there's a lot of reasons that people fall behind, and the thing is, just because life's happening doesn't mean that the lawn and the trees and the growth is going to stop, because it keeps growing. And depending on what area of the country you're on, it might get excessively overgrown extremely fast. Now in this particular area, we're going through a drought season, so there's a big issue with a lot of dust, and you'll see that as I'm working, a lot of dust and debris and different things getting kicked up, and it looks like I'm just doing nonsense sometimes, like just blowing stuff across the lawn, and it's like, hey, why is he doing that? Well, there's always a method to my madness. Sometimes I figure it out as I go, but there's always a method to my madness, and no property is copy paste from another. So while the work that I do is similar from one project to another, there's always their own unique obstacles on each property, because there's a lot of different things. Like I said, in this project, it was drought season, so there was a lot of dust and debris. But other projects that I work on, maybe I'm dealing with excessive rain, and so there's issues like I have to worry about rutting, so that might affect which equipment I use. It might affect what order I use the equipment in. So typically when I'm doing cleanups like this and it's towards the end of the season and things are dry, the first thing I want to do is blow all the leaves and stuff out, because the mower is going to act like a big rake when I go over it. And not only that, but it's going to shred and consolidate the debris and get it down to where it's a smaller amount. So this one, I started blowing stuff out with the intent that I was going to mow over it. And then I started noticing, okay, there's a lot of larger sticks and debris. So, okay, well, I'm going to have to blow all that into a consolidated area. So I started pushing it all back and blowing it into the corner. The other thing that I noticed is that there's walnut trees on the property. Now, if you haven't had the luxury of walking in a property that has a walnut tree or a gumball tree or something like that, well, let me tell you, you can step on them and roll your ankle, and they're pretty dangerous, especially for people that are elderly. It's quite an issue. Anyways, now I'm using the mower to using it, like I said, like a big rake. I'm using it to push. So I'm using the blower and the mower pushing, and while I'm pushing it with the mower, anything that the mower runs over, the blades are shredding it up. So by the time I got it to the fence line, it was a fine debris, real shred up and almost like a mulch. So that's going to break down and turn into soil, but the main thing is it's out of the yard and out of the way. Now coming into the edging, I'm starting with the sidewalk edge, and then I'll come back and clean up the cracks and stuff later. The type of edger blade I'm using, because a lot of people ask, this isn't a paid thing. And in fact, while I do have some equipment sponsors in the sense that they will provide me with some equipment so that I can do the jobs, and I'm very grateful, because the thing is, the work that I do is very expensive. I don't have any paid sponsors at the moment. Again, not a complaint. I'm happy to use the equipment, and honestly, I like the low stress. I'm not a huge fan of somebody trying to tell me what I can and can't do on my content, or hey, we need to send this to the legal team. That's not my style. I don't like doing that. I enjoy living life and not stressing, so I value low stress over money. And I hope that some of the people out there that do this type of content or other content online, there's not very many of them nowadays, but I hope some still have integrity, and my opinion can't be bought. So if I do use a piece of equipment, whether they send it to me or not, well, the thing is, I already have mowers, or I have weed eaters or blowers, so I'm always going to give you my honest opinion. I'm not a review channel, but if something is crap, I'll tell you it's crap if I don't like it. Which brings me back to my next point. I'm using the golden edger blade, and I actually heard about this from Top Notch a couple of years ago. He's like, hey man, you should try this on the overgrowth on sidewalks. He's like, it's really nice. You can cut through stuff very easy. It's really good for overgrowth. Not so good for like really nice manicured lawns, and which is why I always stayed away from it, because I've heard about it for years. I stayed away from it because I cut lawns that were really nice and immaculate through my lawn care business. And lawn guys are really particular about a few things, and one of them is the edge that they leave. That's almost your bragging rights. Like, anybody can cut a yard, and you can leave stripes. So if you're going to mow and you leave stripes, that's really nice. I don't get to do that with the overgrown stuff. I used to really love doing that. Although in Oklahoma, we got the transition zone, so we don't get to stripe. Striping is like what I'm doing right there. I can do it, but I don't get to very often. Anyways, and that's just an optical illusion with the light that you're doing. Most commonly, you'll see that on like ballparks and stuff. But back to the edger blade. I wanted my edge to look real sharp, so I didn't like a real fat wide groove. But when you're getting it back into shape, sometimes that wider groove is better, because you're going to have debris that goes back into it when it rains and things like that. So a lot of people will use a metal blade edger, and they'll do like a hard edge on it. I used to use a string trimmer most of the time, and if you're caught up on a property and you're edging every week with a string trimmer, that's a really great method, and you get really good at doing it. Some people are like, oh, you can't do that. Most of the time in the industry, like when I had employees, I would give them a metal blade edger over a string trimmer, because it's easier for them to learn, and it's kind of foolproof. Like, it's just, I guess the way to put that is idiot proof. It's going to be super easy to train them on, not to call them an idiot, but it's super easy to train them on. And when I'm trying to knock out a bunch of properties, time really matters. I may not have the time to give them a bunch of attention to training, especially lawn care kind of has a high turnover rate. You might go through 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 employees before you find one that's, good enough to keep around, whether they can handle it, the work, or whatever it might be. There might be a few different reasons why they don't hang around. being the type of work it is, people normally don't stick around because of the heat and the actual fatigue that it puts on your body. A lot of people think, oh, I cut my yard. I can do a lawn business. It's not that hard. It's not that difficult. Yeah, try doing 20, 25 a day and do that consistently for months and tell me how your body feels and tell me if you want to keep doing it. So, you know, you really got to find the right person. We are going to keep this red bud, but I did talk to the homeowner about taking out this elm because it's gonna get big and it's gonna cause damage. So we're gonna go ahead and cut that out. It's also gonna open the house up and just, you know, I mean, it's hiding the house. The red bud's okay because it's pretty in the spring. Those are ornamental. We're also gonna trim this tree back, go down the side and trim those trees, and then I'm gonna take off some of the lower branches out here. All right, let's go ahead and get to it. Watch what happens here.
Looking good.
Yeah, I talked with her. I was able to get that other tree down there.
How are you have someplace you're going to haul that all off to?
I'm going to cut it up. I spoke with her about that. I'm going to cut it up, and anything that's big enough to make kind of a fire log, I'll stack it up for her. I'm going to put the brush pile in the back. Okay, so there was a huge amount of growth that needed cut, away from the house. But since I had the pole saw, I went ahead and did, elevation of some of the trees and cut out some dead stuff there. But right now, I'm just coming in and cutting real low to the ground a lot of these sucker trees or little, volunteer trees. Now, when I do this, I like using the pole saw because I don't have to bend over as far, and so it's less fatiguing. It also allows me to get far enough away from the brush that as it's falling, it's not really falling on me, it's falling beside me, versus if I'm down there with the chainsaw getting real low. It's just way less fatiguing. So the a trimmer that I have here, it's an attachment series, and so I can have, which is really nice because when I'm on the road, I can have one power head unit. I normally carry a backup just in case, but I can have a pole saw, hedger, string trimmer, the edger blade. So, I can have multiple tools with one piece of equipment, and then I just have to add the attachments versus having multiple dedicated units like a pole saw and extended hedgers, different things like that. It becomes a lot of equipment to maintain as well as a lot of equipment to travel with. So, a lot of people, they'll tell me on projects like this that I need like a chipper. And, the thing is, you could have a chipper that's smaller like you would see at a residential property. The thing is, if I was to put that in my setup, it takes up a lot of space that I would otherwise need for, the mowers, or in this case, I used a power washer on the property. So I really have to just pick and choose what pieces of equipment are best for me because I'm limited with space. Now, on the subject of chipper shredders, most chipper shredders that you'll see that are large enough to handle the debris that I would be moving, they're going to be large and cumbersome. You're going to see that more with like an arborist, tree company, versus lawn care guys. Lawn care guys normally don't carry one around because it is a very large piece of equipment, and really with any large piece of equipment, you think high in numbers. So 30,000 plus on those machines typically. It's a lot of money to invest in something that I may not be using very often. And with my unique setup, typically, if you look at the background of some of my videos, you'll see it, but I'm actually traveling with a camper trailer instead of like an equipment trailer, and I keep all the equipment in the back of my truck. So when I say I have limited space, I mean I have very limited space. Now, when I'm close to my house, I actually, oftentimes I'm pulling a dump trailer behind me, which is really nice. So I'll cut and remove debris, and then I'll either take it to my own property and I burn it off, or I will take it to a green waste facility that's local, which is so like Tulsa has a green waste facility. Anything that's above the ground that is growing, you can take there, and they run it through a very large bull shredder. And so they have to use a large piece of equipment to pick up, like a grapple, and pick up these branches and logs and tree trunks, and they grind it all up, turn it into mulch, and that's reused with our local municipalities. I believe there's some use in power plants where they burn it off to create power. Our local zoo uses a lot of it, stuff like that. In this particular case, I don't have that as an option. So I'm actually just taking it back to the back corner. She said that she's got a family member that will haul it all away, and I'm going to use the mower to shred down as much as possible. I'm not going to suggest that you use your mower to shred stuff down. If you're a lawn care guy, if you're going to do it, definitely know that it puts wear and tear on your machine, as well as it's going to be a lot of you're going to need to have extra blades so that you can swap it afterwards if you're going to cut a nice lawn, because if you have dull blades on your mower and you're cutting nice grass, it's going to tear it up. The other thing I would mention there is, you might have seen it with the mower, how I'm pulling the debris. I'm using the machine to do the work instead of my back. I want to put less fatigue and less wear on myself and more on the equipment. I don't really care about having to replace a piece of equipment long term, but when you're talking about the downtime from back surgery or the possibility of never being able to do the type of work that you've done for a large portion of your adult life, then that might be difficult. You might have a difficult career transition. So for me, I always look for the best way to do it without tearing up my body, and a lot of times that can be pretty controversial with people. Now I'm going to pull these vines off the house. I do have to stop here in a minute. and decide how I'm going to pull it off, because if you notice, there's actually the power line for the house is going in there. So I have to be pretty careful. The other thing with vines is real common. A lot of people are concerned that it might be poison ivy. Leaves of 3, leave it be. So, the best way to avoid getting poison ivy is 1, know how to identify it. 2, if you come in contact with it, make sure that you're washing off with something like Dawn dish soap, because it's a degreaser.
Real careful with this one. I gotta be real careful with this one. I probably can't just hack at it and pull on it. There's the actual power lines hooked up to this one.
A couple more notes on a few things. The poison ivy, probably wear the proper safety gear. I don't like wearing gloves. I don't like wearing long sleeves. It's just a personal preference. Some people would call me stupid, and I'd probably agree in most cases. As far as cutting stuff off of power lines, again, it's more of a do as I say, not as I do. And probably avoid doing that, because there could be a bare spot in the insulation that could lead to your death by electrocution, which sounds very uncomfortable. Again, do as I say, not as I do. Most people would call me an idiot, and I'd probably agree in like 99% of the scenarios. It's cool. I'm not above constructive criticism.
Pretty neat, right? Really gotta use it. Storm shelters are never really pleasant. This morning I had a whole grain bar or something for breakfast. I found these in the camper, apple sauces, so I'm gonna drink those. That's my we'll call it lunch. Yummy, it's hot.
What do you guys think of today's job? It's pretty good, right? Anyways, today's video is actually sponsored by Yard Mastery. They create custom crafted fertilizers and lawn programs for do-it-yourselfers. Since I do yard work all over the country, I'm often asked, hey Kevin, what products do you suggest? My answer is always the same. Just download the Yard Mastery app for free and you'll be well on your way. The Yard Mastery app was created by Alan Hain, literally known as the lawn care nut. Like, if you want to know details about how to make lawns look good, this is the guy. And the app gives you a step-by-step plan for the entire season. Fertilizers, biostimulants, pre-emergence, everything. The best part of it is you can get started right away. Just download the app with the link in the description, enter in your zip code, and it'll give you a custom program based on your location, soil temps, and your grass types. From there, you can look in the calendar menu. You'll see the entire season laid out for you, what to apply and when to apply it. The Lawn Care Nut also sends out tips and how-to videos in the app to help you get the most out of your application. So if you need the training, it's all included in the app. It's still early in the season, so it's a perfect time to start. Just click the link in the description, download the app, and you'll be well on your way to making your first applications this weekend. Or you can visit yardmastery.com for more information on the app and custom crafted fertilizers that are made specifically for homeowners. So if you want a thick, green, dominant lawn, start with the Yard Mastery app. And also a huge thank you to Yard Mastery for sponsoring this video. Let's get back to it. All right, we're getting into the string trimming. This is one of my favorite things to do. I find myself to be, I would say I'm very proficient at it. I've definitely put in my 10,000 hours of work. You know, they say you got to do 10,000 hours of something to become a professional. And seeing as I've done this for over 10 years, I've become pretty good. So I've got a few tips and tricks here that might help you. Now it's going really fast, so I'm going to try to show you while I can. But basically, when I'm trimming, I will angle the trimmer head so that it is not flat but leaning to the side when I'm weeding stuff out of the cracks. And what that's going to do is it's going to push stuff away from you. So you can watch kind of the dust clouds. Well, it's pushing away from me instead of hitting me in the legs. Definitely something that if you practice at it, you can get really good. Now, I like running my string trimmer with no guard. That's a personal preference. Again, you can do whatever you want, however you want. I used to be against that because, I don't know, I wasn't like a safety dog when I used to work at a factory, but I was definitely like, I was on the safety team, so I was like, you don't take a guard off. Like, you know, OSHA might come in here and tell you, you could get a fine. Well, if you're just starting your lawn care business out, I want to let you know that OSHA's not going to be an issue for you. They focus on large companies. They're not going to focus on sole proprietorships or somebody that's just working solo. Also, I'm flipping the string trimmer up on its side and doing some edging and stuff here and there. That's something I do with vines. If you're getting close to trees, it's okay to throttle back on your speed. You know, you'll have people that say you got to run at full speed. No, you don't. I promise it's not an issue. You can run it at half speed. Most of the time when I'm trimming, I'm not using the full power of the trimmer. I'm just giving it like 25% of the power on the throttle. So, you know, that's something that you can think about. You definitely want to lower your speed when you're getting close to things like windows or cars, stuff like that. And as you get more proficient and more confident, you can do quite a bit with the string trimmer that you normally wouldn't think you can do. Like uncovering these bricks. You know, a lot of people would tell me, right now, I need to have a shovel to uncover those bricks. And yeah, absolutely. Would it make the video better? You might enjoy the sounds of me shoveling off that brick, but I can tell you right now, if you actually shovel dirt off bricks, it's a very back-breaking labor to do. I've done a lot of brick sidewalks if you watched my channel, and I've done it in a lot of different methods now. I actually have a video coming up that's very interesting, a new piece of equipment that I was using doing that. So, you know, I'm telling you from experience, in my opinion, I really prefer using a string trimmer to clean up most bricks, unless the dirt is hard like rock. Now, I'm using the blower and blowing everything off, and there's a lot of dust. I had a lot of comments on this when I originally put this out on the boring channel, and they said, oh, I can't believe you did that. You're putting dust everywhere. Man, it's during the drought, and keep in mind this area of the country, well, it survived the Dust Bowl. And people that are in my generation, I didn't live through the Dust Bowl. But I understand that in the middle of August, it is hot and it is dusty and there's no way to avoid it. It doesn't matter. You're kicking up dust no matter what piece of equipment you're using. So I use the biggest blower I can get. I get the work done as quick as possible and I'm not dragging it out. You could use a push broom if you wanted. I'm not that guy. I'm looking to get a job done and not looking to make it take 3 or 4 weeks. So, you know, just what I'm saying. Now, the rest of this debris, this is like the irises and stuff that I cut down, and the stuff that was in the flower beds, I'm blowing that all back to that corner so I can shred it with the mower. And now I'm actually using the mower, like I said, like a rake. And this is what I was talking about earlier in the video. And each time I pass over it with the mower, it shreds it down better. It's getting pretty late in the evening, and the neighbor actually called the local newspaper, and so I got to speak with the woman from the local newspaper.
So I interviewed with the woman with the paper. She actually asked if she could come back tomorrow because it's getting pretty late. She wanted to ask a few more questions. That's totally cool. I went ahead and traveled, and I am at the Winfield campgrounds. Alright, I'm gonna get a shower. I'm gonna enjoy the AC. We'll go back for some more tomorrow. It's day number 2, which means I'm a glutton for punishment. I'm back for more.
You made me cry. Thank you so much. I don't care.
Okay.
I don't care. Thank you so much.
Is this like a Christian service sort of thing?
That's great. You know, like a lot of people think I do this for the money. I don't care about that. I'm enjoying life. Work is very healthy for me. Keeps my mind in the right place. And this is what I was called to do. So, and I'm good at it. You know what I mean? If you like watching, if you do, please give me a thumbs up. Leave a comment and subscribe if you haven't. You know you're watching the best damn lawn care channel out there. Let's get back to work.
I tell you what, that guy is stupidly cocky. He's just so cocky. He's not the best. That's cool. Best is an objective opinion. And with that said, this is my vocation, meaning I feel like it's my calling from the Lord. This is what I enjoy doing. It's what I love doing. And I've spent a lot of time doing it, like a decade. So I would say I'm fairly good at it. And it's okay. You know, like an athlete, I look at myself as an athlete, but my sport is lawn care. And it's particularly lawn care cleanups. I'm like a pro athlete. And you better know I'm going to be cocky, baby. I'm happy being the best at what I do, and I hope that you feel the same. Everybody should feel like when they go to work and they do the work, they should feel like, man, I am the best at what I do, and if I'm not, I'm going to be. And that's just how I see it. So, I mean, you can look at life however you want. That's how I look at it.
There's a lot of sticks and stuff, but this is the main reason I'm blowing all this out of the yard. These are black walnut shells, and if you ever stepped on them, they roll under your feet and can cause you to, you know, fall down. So There's a dog turd on the porch. I was pulling the leaves off and stuck my hand right in it. Gross. Alright, so I'm getting ready to wash the house, and I talked with the homeowner about the couch. I said, "You're not in love with that thing, are you?" And she said, "No, it's actually going in the trash." The reason why I asked if she was in love with it is because if I get the chemical that I'm going to use to clean the house on it, it's going to bleach it out. So when I'm done with this job, you're going to see that my shirt has changed colors, and I'm going to have a bleach spots all over it. But what I'm going to do is, there's a dumpster down the block she said I can take this to, and then her and her brother will load it in there this weekend. So what I'm going to do is pull it out. She said it's really heavy, it's got a bed in it. And then, yeah, I want to move it. That's a work smarter, not harder thing. All right, let's get to washing this. Alright, what I'm letting it do right now is I'm actually letting it dwell on there. So put it on there, let it sit, do its thing for a little bit, about 10 minutes, and I'll come back and I'll actually hit it again. It'll be softer and it'll be easier to get off there. The chemical's doing all the work.
They clean the bowl so you don't have to.
Say what?
I just wondered where you were surveying.
Well, actually I'm making a video. We're cleaning up the house over here. So to summarize what just happened, the neighbor thought I was out here with my tripod surveying. She said, "They're not building a highway through here, are they?" I said, "No." So anyways, I'm gonna cut down the tree limb that's touching her house there, and there's a vine growing up through the bush on the other side of her house. I'm gonna cut that out for her once I get this cleaned up. And then I've got this house across the street, and you know, I'm cleaning the house. I'm thinking I might as well clean the concrete, so I probably got the rest of today on this one. Then I'll jump to that one, trim her limbs over here, and jump out of town. So I guess I'm gonna be here another day. That's the way it works. somebody else came out and asked for help too, you know what I do? Give them help. Alright. No jacking around. I mean, it works. Really cleaned up nice, didn't it?
That's amazing.
Underneath the porch.
It's
But,
beautiful again. Wow.
well, I got one more thing. Besides this stuff, I probably won't see you again today. You're going to work, right?
Yeah.
All right. Well, I've been going on this trip, and when I do these jobs, I like people to really feel like they've won the lottery. I don't feel like they have a real good gift, and the Lord put me in this position to help people. This is $500, and you can use it however you want.
I can't take that from you.
It's not mine anymore. That's yours. Thank you.
You're gonna make me cry. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Well,
I don't care.
Okay.
I don't care. Thank you so much.
All right. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Thank you for letting me work on the property. I've really enjoyed this one.
Well, I've enjoyed chatting with you, and you're gonna make me cry. Thank you so much for everything,
Absolutely.
because it's, after my mom passed, I didn't want the house anymore because it just felt sad. It felt like what mom was missing, and because she loved this house, and you've made it look happy again, and I thank you for that.
Absolutely.
Honest and truly.
Well, I'm glad I came back around and knocked on the door again.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you for being persistent, because she's almost smiling. You can almost feel the house smiling. It's
That messed up ball valve has me drenched head to toe. My feet are just swamped. Alright, it's been sitting for a minute. Let's hit it again. It's not perfect, but it's better. There's a lot that doesn't clean up because, well, there's paint chipping. But all the natural organic growth is gone. Alright, this is the exact definition of leaving well enough alone. Okay? I'm not going to uncover this anymore. I don't know how far this goes. I think it's just a walkway to the brick. But the thing is, that's all chipped up, and it doesn't really honestly serve a purpose anymore. And if anything, uncovering it just causes more of a trip hazard.
Well, I've had a ton of questions in past videos about power washing, and most of them come down to a few different things. They say, where does the water supply come from? And my response is, from the house. You know, now a company that specializes in power washing may occasionally have water tanks that they keep on their truck. Now, those water tanks aren't where they're actually getting their water supply. It's actually referred to as a buffer tank. And a buffer tank is basically, they'll have a machine that draws so much water that the house or facility where they're getting the water coming from can't actually keep up with the amount the machine is using. So the buffer tank is an extra source of water where it draws water for the machine. They will fill it up on the job site, or they will fill it up before they come to the job site. The other thing with the tanks is sometimes they'll have different chemicals that they keep in the tanks. I'm not doing any of that. Earlier when I was spraying the house, I was spraying it with chemicals, but I was using a tool called an X-Jet, or I don't know if it was particularly the X-Jet. It was a tool similar to X-Jet. Basically, it's a tip that goes on the end of the wand with a hose that leads to a bucket with chemical. Now, what chemical was I using? I was using a chemical called SH, or liquid chlorine. The particular one that I use, I have a lot of people that ask about it, is Pool Essentials Cleaner. You can get it at any Walmart in the pool section. It's about $4 a gallon, and it's very effective. If you don't have a power washer, you can use a spray pump, like a pump-up spray pump, yard sprayer or something like that, right? So all you have to do is mix it with water, and you could do, half water, half of the chlorine, or you could use a softer mix if you want something that's not as aggressive. With that said, if you're going to use it, make sure that you protect your lungs and use caution, because if you breathe it in, it's not good for you. So, if I'm using it, a lot of the times, like if you're using the X-Jet, it's reduced by a greater amount. They have different tips. So, normally I'll do like 3%, 5%. And, same thing. If you're using a pump sprayer, you can reduce it by a lot and it's still effective. However, if you don't have a power washer, you can clean with it on even stuff like this concrete. If you were to treat it with just the chemical, you're going to brighten it up almost the same, because it's going to kill all the organics, and then it's going to bleach out a lot of stuff. But one other thing I would suggest is that if you are going to use it, be careful not to get it on any plants, because like how I said, it kills the organics. If it gets on your lawn, on your grass, it will kill the grass. So make sure you get the grass wet prior to spraying it. That way, if it does get on the grass, it's not going to adhere to the foliage. And then, so spray it before, during, and after. I don't want you to stress about this. I've been using that chemical for a long time. And, I have seen people cause damage to landscaping and plants and grass. But I think it's a pretty rare thing as long as you use basic caution. A lot of the times when people cause damage to landscaping, typically they're using that chemical to clean the shingles on roofs. So they'll spray it up on, say, terracotta tiles or something like that are up on the roof, and then they trickle down and it falls on the landscaping over a duration of time, and so they can't really keep it clean. They do have special chemicals that you can put to basically neutralize the chlorine, but you can just spray it with water and make sure you continually spray it, and you're gonna be fine. It's gonna be all right. But I will say, it'll clean up concrete, it'll clean up algae. I've used it on a variety of different sidings. I would suggest if you do use it in a small area and then go from there. But that's like one of the main go-tos in the industry. Other than that, you might use a degreaser if you have an oil stain. But typically, if I do that, I have a hot water power washer now. At the time, I was using a Hustler power washer. It's just cold water coming through the machine, and it's pushing out 4 gallons a minute. So you can do the math on how much it costs to do something like this. The other thing is people say, hey, if you're not supplying the water, then it's not free because it's going to cost them a whole lot. Well, if you've never paid a water bill, you'll know. If you never paid a water bill, you might think it's really expensive. But if you have paid a water bill, you'll know that it's not too expensive, and you're actually paying for the water per 1,000 gallons of water used. And normally there's like a minimum. And when you add up 4 gallons a minute, per hour, you're talking about a bathtub of water per hour, basically is what it's pumping out. So you're not looking at a whole lot of water. If I use this all day long, you might be looking at a couple bucks. So not something for the average person to stress about. But I have been told that I was coming from a standpoint of entitlement, because I saw it as, not costing that much, but it could break somebody's bank if I used the power washer and they had to pay a couple bucks on their water bill. And I didn't respond back to the person that said I was entitled. Your entitlement. You've come from a life of privilege. Bro, I grew up in a trailer. There was a section of my life that I grew up in a trailer that had only one room in it, and that was a closet with a bucket in it to take a crap. And then at the end of the day, that bucket had to be dumped, and one of my chores was to dump the bucket. So I'm just going to tell you, I didn't come from a life of privilege, which I find to be I find it to be a privilege that I came from a life where I'm not privileged. And I find a lot of my success in life comes from being in a situation where I can be empathetic of others and how they might be in their life or what position they might be in their life, because I too didn't always have it good. And I know what it's like to be broke. I know what it's like to be sick. I know what it's like to have a loved one that's sick. I know what it's like to work long hours at a factory, not get paid much, and not have enough money to buy a weed eater or some other piece of equipment.
How's your day going?
Unbelievable.
What do you think of it?
I see the news has been out to check on you again today.
Yeah, she came and spoke with me.
Yeah. She's a good girl.
Alright, I got a little break, ate something, drank some Gatorade, talking to the neighbor, had a phone call with my wife. I'm ready to get back to work. I'm pretty tired.
I guess my point there is I'm trying to say that struggle in life is a blessing, and it builds character, and it allows us to become more. So, if you're in a position in your life right now where you're struggling and things are hard, or you're depressed, or you're young and you're trying to find your personal vocation or what you want to do with your life or your great meaning, what are you going to do in life? If you apply yourself in the right areas, the struggle will be completely worth it. And your outlook on life and how you choose to see it is going to drastically affect your life. And there's a really controversial book that some people don't like, but I particularly myself, I love it, and I found a lot of meaning and great purpose for my life through reading this book, so I would highly suggest it. I'll tell you in a minute. But there's a line in the book that says, the eye is the lamp of the body. If your eye is healthy, your whole body will be full of light. But if your eye is unhealthy, your body will be full of darkness. If you don't know what that book is the Bible. It's a book of pure wisdom, and I would highly suggest reading it. It will change your life. But again, if you don't read it and you're not a believer, I don't judge you. And I hope you don't judge me. So, how can you apply this in your life if you haven't clicked off already? You're like, oh my gosh, I can't handle that. But if you want to look at it from the wisdom standpoint, which is the reason why I read the Bible in the first place, is I was like, there's all these really smart people that keep quoting verses from the Bible. There's got to be something behind it. Well, there is. So if you look at this one, the eye is the lamp of the body. If your eye is healthy, then your body will be full of light. And if your eye is unhealthy, so the way you look at things in life, if you look at it from that aspect, if you choose to be a positive person, you will have positive things happening in your life. If you choose to be a negative person, negative things will happen in your life. You will continue to see negativity because that's what you're looking at. There was an experiment where they put a black dot on a whiteboard, and a lot of people saw just the black dot, and then the other people saw the white on the whiteboard, and that's what they chose to focus on. It's really hard not to focus on that black dot, right? But it is a representation of our how easy it is to look at the negative things in our life versus all the positive things. So, if you don't want to read the Bible, there's another book called The Power of a Positive Mental Attitude. Norman Vincent Peale. That's a very good book. That book was a great book when I was trying to find my great purpose in life. And I'm still continually trying to find my great purpose in life. I think that everybody should be constantly trying to improve themselves in one way, shape, or form or another. I realize that I'm not perfect. I realize that I have a lot of room to have growth, and I enjoy reflecting on, what I could do better. I enjoy your guys' feedback on, how I speak on the channel, how I perform the work, and I try to make those things better. I don't see feedback as a negative thing. Now, if somebody's being negative with me, they're being negative, and that's okay. And if you are negative at some point in time in this video, and it's rough enough, you gotta be rough enough, baby, then I'll pin you to the top and I'll let the rest of the audience tell you how negative you are. But I'm not gonna let it affect my life, because I've been through my depressions and my issue, and I've paid my dues. And that's not to say I'm not gonna go through depressions again in life, but right now I'm in a happy stage, baby. I'm doing good and things are good for me, and I'm not gonna let petty things affect me. I'm not gonna let outside influences affect me in a negative way. I hope that you feel the same way, and I hope that you can do the same. And I'm not trying to be preachy. I don't want people to think I'm preaching, and it's not a holier than thou thing. That's one of those things. If you ever mention the Bible, people are like, "Oh, you're holier than thou. You're better than everybody else, eh?" No, I'm not. I'm just sharing things that have influenced me in my life, and because it's a part of me, I want to share it to other people, because I like to see other people succeed in life.
Yeah, man, I am.
Really?
What's up, dude?
Really?
Yeah,
That's so cool. Yeah, watching you guys, man.
really. Thank you for
Yeah.
the support, man.
It was cool.
I have been recognized in every state I've been in. Pretty awesome. I appreciate all the support. You guys are the only way I'm able to continue doing this, and it's just really awesome to have all the support from you guys. So, thank you.
This is for you.
I don't know. I didn't order a pizza.
It's not a pizza. It's chicken wings.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Said give it to the guy working in the yard.
Really?
Yep.
Did they say who it came from?
I don't know. Probably it came to this address. That's all I know. I
cool.
don't know. There's no sauce or anything on them.
Oh, that's great, though. That's perfect. Thank you.
Okay.
Dude, these are good. It's hot. I've never had anybody do that for me. That's a first. It's really cool.
let's take a look at what we did. First, look at those bricks, man. You couldn't even hardly see that when we came here. Boy, does it look sharp. You know what I mean? Like the color just popped right back out. Boom! It's looking good. Hey, one last thing before I go, I want to say thank you so much for the support. If you made it this far in the video and you're not subscribed yet, please consider subscribing. It goes a very long ways to helping me out to continue doing projects just like this for people that just need a helping hand, and it doesn't cost you a dime. Now, if you are subscribed and you haven't yet, if you would just leave a thumbs up on the video and leave a comment, that'll tell YouTube that you really like this content, and it'll push it out to more people just like you. And again, that helps me to continue going out and helping people just like this. All that said, I'm out of here. I'll see you soon. I'm back at the campsite. I didn't unhook the camper, but I did put the stabilizers down. And I gotta tell you, I'm dead. I sat here on the stairs. Took a minute, but I finally got my shoes off. 10 hours of wet feet. And, whew. I would have brought my power washing boots, but I didn't think I was really gonna be doing any power washing on this trip. But you know, when I get to starting on a project, I'm gonna finish a project.